guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'll be covering part 2 to the story all about the guy who's leading the charge to have his fiancée and her dad reconnect after like 13, 14 years. And I'm not going to go beyond that because you all know obviously what was going on here. And where we left off, the guy had met with Carl, the dad. He reached out to him, told him what was going on, what really happened, blah, blah, blah. And now our guy here is now about to talk to his fiancée, Anna, about meeting the dad and leading the conversation about reconnecting. And as you can imagine, we're about to have some fireworks here. So he continues his story. He says here, Anna worked 25 minutes from our apartment. She was home in 19. Yeah, dude, and you pulling that whole "we need to talk" crap scared the hell out of her. She was panicked and anxious, which was how I wanted her. I told her to have a seat and she needed to listen to what I had to say and not interrupt me. Good luck with that one, dude. She looked stressed and on the verge of tears. I told her everything she knows about her father since the last time she saw him was a lie. Yeah, she wasn't expecting that. She had a look of confusion on her face and said, "What are you talking about?" Again, I repeated what I told her and added, "You have been lied to all these years. Before you and I even think about walking down the aisle, this needs to be addressed." She asked me again, what was I talking about? I started again by saying, "Listen to what I'm saying. Everything you know about your father since the last time you saw him is a lie. We will not be getting married until this is addressed." Well, good for you for leading the charge on this whole thing and all that, man. I disagree that whole text you sent to her about "we need to talk" crap, but good. You're going to have to be strong and forceful on this because otherwise, remember, in her mind, her dad abandoned her. Her mom is her whole life. Her whole belief system on her life is about to be shattered here. It ain't going to be easy. She must have heard some of what I was telling her and was getting angry and panicky. "You're calling off the wedding?" She was on the verge of tears. I told her maybe, but for now, it was just being postponed. I told her again, "Your mom has lied to you about your dad. You need to address this if you expect us to get married. I don't trust Debbie." She was now getting mad and started to cry. Her mom was a rock to her. She raised her on her own, and in Anna's eyes, her mom was her world. Exactly, dude. There was more back and forth. She wanted to know what the hell her deadbeat father had to do with us getting married. It's funny how what was coming out of our mouths was English, but we were speaking totally different languages. I said, "You don't seem to understand. You've been lied to all these years about your father. And that means there is one person who's done all the lying. This needs to be addressed or you and I are not getting married. I cannot and will not have a person like her involved in our lives." Very good, man. Anna started to freak out. "If you think I'm going to have a man who abandoned my mom and me part of his life, then fine, call off the wedding," she said. She was now crying. "You don't know what it's like to suddenly have one of your parents just up and leave you and never speak to you again. I'll never forgive him for what he did," she said. You can't blame her, dude, because this is what she's been led to believe. Anna was yelling now. She told me I was being a jerk and didn't understand why I was bringing him up. Anna had stood up and started to say something else, but I cut her off. I very sternly told her to stop. I didn't usually act this way, and I believe she was also startled into silence. I sighed a heavy breath and calmly asked her to sit down. She wasn't going to. She was ready for a fight. Remember, her whole belief system is based on the fact of what her mother told her. So I took the lead. I sat down and urged her to sit next to me. She just glared at me, arms crossed. Oh, you bet your ass her arms were crossed. Women are pissed. Those arms are crossed. Nothing's going to stop those arms from crossing. After urging her again, she reluctantly sat down, but with some distance from me. I attempted to calmly explain things again. I told her to think about what happened at the park in the story that she told me. I asked her if that sounds like a man who would just walk away from you. You could see the gears turning in her brain. She had told me other things she remembered about her dad, how he would read to her and take her with him when he did things. He had made sure they spent time together. I asked her why would he suddenly just disappear from her life. She told me she didn't know and didn't care, but that was what he did, and she would never forgive him for that. I asked her if it was possible he was put into a position where he had no other choice. She told me if that happened, he would have eventually come to her. I asked her if she hated her father. After a moment of that, she told me yes. Ouch. So I let it out. I told her I met with her father twice, and I think it would be a good idea for her to speak to him. I hope there weren't any dishes anywhere within Anna's reach, because she's going to start playing frisbee with those dishes. Anna blew up at me upon hearing this. She asked who the hell I thought I was to inject myself into that situation. She stood up again and continued to yell at me. I hope the neighbors weren't home for all this drama. I stood up as well and shouted over her, "You don't fucking get it. Your mom is a fucking liar, and she destroyed any possibility for you to have a father in your life growing up." She went on the defensive on behalf of her mom. She did the best she could raising me without any support from him, she said. Why would my mom do such a thing? She told me I was being an asshole and stormed off to the bedroom. She turned back towards me and said, "Fine, you want him around? Then the wedding is off. You go be with him instead of me." She pulled off the engagement ring, threw it at me, then went to the bedroom and slammed the door. That went well. But here's the reality. There's no way that conversation would go well. I don't blame her being upset because in her mind you betrayed her, because this dude in her mind betrayed her. But you were doing what you knew was hard, and you're being a good soon-to-be husband. I disagree the whole we need to talk shit, but everything else you did I agree with. And any other time, her throwing the engagement ring, some guys would be like, well, fuck you. I understand, guys, that her whole world is just a big fucking whirlwind. Let her cool off, then continue talking. I left her alone to stew on her thoughts. Good idea. I knew I planted some seeds of doubt. I'd give them a bit to take root. Her throwing the ring at me was a bit concerning, but she was being very emotional. A couple hours later, she emerged from the room. Her eyes were red. She had been crying. Well, of course she's been crying. It's understandable. But got to let her cool off. I spoke her name, and she ignored me. I said, "Anna, you really need to go talk to your father." I got a response. "Fuck you." She'd never spoken to me that way before. Yeah, well, better be the last. I let her vent. I could see she was an emotional wreck. I was threatening to call off the wedding and was talking to her about the man she grew to hate. She grabbed something from the kitchen. I hope it wasn't a plate. Went back to the bedroom and slammed the door. About an hour later, I went to the bedroom. Yeah, it's time to continue this conversation. There's no lock on the door, so it was easy to gain entry. Anna was curled up in the bed. I've been with Anna for several years, and I know her pretty well. It is time to go give her a hug, even though she doesn't want you to. So what I did next was it was not exactly a bold move. I laid next to her. Then I cuddled up to her. She tried to pull away, but I pulled her next to me. She did not resist. When she was stressed, she wanted to be held by me, even if I was the source of her angst. I held her for a bit and said to her that she knew that as she knew her mom's side of things, she needed to hear what her dad had to say. Upon bringing it up again, she tried to pull away, but I held her. I'm bigger than her, and she was tired from crying. From there, she needed to make a decision, and I would support it. But until she knew both sides, the wedding was on hold. She said she didn't want to. I told her I didn't care what she wanted to do. For good measure, I added, "Besides, I would think you'd like to meet your brothers." That probably caught her attention. I have brothers? She was still crying and sniffling, but suddenly stopped crying. She contorted her head to make eye contact with me, but said nothing. I shook my head and said, "Yes, really." She turned back away from me and lay there for a bit. That was my 2 of the 1-2 punch. Anna had always told me she wished she had a sibling. She finally nodded, indicating she would do it. I slipped the ring back on her finger and just held her. The subject was closed for the night. Again, when there's big fights, you walk away, guys. But in this situation, this isn't fighting about your relationship or her throwing a tantrum over you forgetting to put the toilet seat down or some shit like that, forgetting to take out the garbage. This is about some traumatic shit for her as a kid. So it's understandable she reacted the way she did after this whole fucking "we need to talk" text. And she needed time to cool off. So this guy handled it well. At this time, I knew deep down, whether she knew it or not, she longed to have her dad back in her life. She doesn't want to get hurt again, dude. I can hear and sense the emotion of it when she told me about the day at the park. We talked again, and when I got home from work the next day, she called in sick, not mentally able to deal with work and thoughts of her dad. She clearly still didn't want to meet up with her dad, but she asked me no questions about meeting with Carl. She wanted to know what I told him, and I assured her nothing that someone couldn't learn from her Facebook page. Anna is a smart woman, but she can be stubborn and will dig her heels in. Yeah, I've been with girlfriends like that. Oh joy, it's wonderful. The stubborn ones. If she gave Carl just a bit of an open door, the fact that he had the receipts to go with it, what he would tell her gave me confidence things were likely to be resolved. I set up the meeting. It was for next Saturday. Last minute, Anna told me she wasn't going. I assured her she was. If I had to tie her up and throw her in the trunk of the car to make her meet up with him, I was going to do it. After a bit of arguing and a reminder the wedding was currently off was enough to nudge her. Yeah, you didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you, dude? Okay, everything's great. We're cuddling on the bed. No. There's going to be more resistance. And again, you can understand some panic on her part. I'm glad you're not backing down. I'm glad you're more stubborn than she is. I can't imagine your fucking kids, how stubborn those little monsters are going to be one day. I went with Anna to Carl's business. I was expecting it to be just them, but Anna told me she was scared and wanted me there with her. No problem. Upon arriving, Anna was real standoffish. There were some awkward hellos. Carl was cautious too. It took a bit of brokering by me to get the conversation started. I was starting to think maybe it was a bad idea. Then Anna's anger towards Carl finally stepped up and she lit into him. How could you just abandon Mom and me, she said. She basically spit it out. Carl replied, pumpkin, if you really want an answer to that, you need to have a seat and I will walk you through the events that changed both our lives. I don't know if that's a pumpkin moment, Carl. He told her she clearly had grown into a beautiful, mature woman, but what he had to share with her would be difficult for her to swallow. Anna just stood there and Carl asked her for her to have a seat. The three of us sat and Carl started to talk. Carl spoke uninterrupted for close to 40 minutes as he went through things. Anna seemed numb as he was talking. Then Carl pulled out the box of receipts. As he started to go through them, Anna started to pay attention. The paper trail could not be disputed. Lastly, Carl brought out the unopened gifts and cards and showed them to Anna. She studied the postmark on the birthday presents and ran her fingers over her mom's writing, refusing the package. Anna sat there in silence and finally spoke to me. She told me she wanted me to take her home. She looked at Carl and told him she was sorry and headed for the door. Again, this is just a fucking whirlwind for her. I looked at Carl and he nodded toward Anna in the door, silently telling me to take her home. The meeting did not go as I hoped. The ride home was in silence. We got home, Anna took a bath and went to bed. The whole experience exhausted her. Give Anna her space, dude. Just like before, give her space to process. On Sunday, Anna was quiet and spent most of the time on the couch. By mid-afternoon, I think she was losing her mind, and she told me she had to go see Carl again. Hey, wonderful. I phoned him, and we met 2 hours later. This time when Anna saw Carl, she walked up to him and gave him a big giant hug. Aw, that's awesome. Now he can call her Pumpkin. She just held him crying. It got to Carl. I could see his eyes watering up, but his stoicism wouldn't let them release. If there's a moment that he can let some tears out, for God's sakes, it's certainly allowed. Going down his beard. He held Anna for a couple minutes and we talked once again. This time Anna had questions and she very eagerly engaged him. She apologized probably 24 times and each time Carl told her she did nothing wrong. He talked to his wife and her brothers. At this time his sons knew of Anna, but didn't know that he was talking to her. Apparently yesterday's meeting had gone better than I expected or thought. I just didn't know it yesterday. When we left Carl's shop, Anna told me to take her to her mom's house. And so I did. This meeting too went better than I could have hoped for. Her mom was pleased to see us and said this was an unexpected surprise. The surprise was yet to come. I started with Anna telling her mom that she had some questions about her dad. Debbie wasn't in the mood to talk about him. Well, bitch, you better get in the mood. Anna said she needed to know some things. After a bit of back and forth, Debbie relented. Anna's first question was, who did you cheat on Dad with? Uh-oh. That's not what Debbie expected. Anna's silence earlier was because she was figuring out how to confront her mom. It wasn't easy for her to do that, as it was me. When I talked to her the other day about her father, it's said that men think about future conversations while women think about conversations that have already taken place. That is true. Really. And I might add that women generally have memories like fucking elephants. Like they're a bunch of, what's the word? I can't think. Idemic memory or photographic memory, whatever you want to call it. Word for fucking word. Well, as long as it's convenient. But us guys, we think about future shit to deal with, so we're prepared for it. I played a bunch of scenarios in my head, much like the guy in the story you covered whose wife worked at the hospital and was cheating. He ran a bunch of conversations in his head and decided not to confront her, but instead tell her he didn't love her anymore. Anna's brain doesn't work that way. She was remembering things her mom had told her in the past, the lies that were spoken. Debbie's response was feigning ignorance. "What are you talking about, sweetie?" she said. Anna asked why she cheated on Dad. She threw questions after question at her, questions about how she was injured when Carl supposedly hurt her. Debbie was on the defensive and started trying to gaslight her. Then Anna asked her, "When you left me with Aunt Betty for 2 weeks, where did you go and Bill go on vacation?" Bill was the man she cheated on Carl with. The color drained from Debbie's face upon hearing the name. Remember, Bill dumped her? She tried to recover and again played dumb. "I don't know who that is," she said. Debbie finally started yelling at Anna. "I don't know who put these dumb ideas in your head. I never cheated on your father. He abandoned us. You know that." Anna told her all she ever knew was her lies. She was yelling back. Finally, Anna pulled out one of the cards. I didn't know Carl had given them to her. She shoved the card in her face and shouted, "Whose handwriting is this that rejected this card? Who does it belong to, Mother?" Mother was said in a snide, sarcastic way. Anna basically spit it out. Debbie was taken aback by it. "I really wish I could have recorded this. It was nice to see Debbie get put in her place." Shit, I wish you could have recorded it and sent it to me. Anna finally told Debbie, "I met with Daddy yesterday." Yes, she referred to him as Daddy, and I could see the ire build in Debbie when it was said. "He told me everything," she said. "He showed me the court documents, the demand letter that he gave up his parental rights to me. I've seen it all. You are a fucking bitch who ruined my life." Whew. Good for you, Anna. "I want you out of it. I'm done with you. You don't get to come to my wedding. You don't get to see my children. You don't get to be part of my life anymore. You are a miserable, evil witch." Yeah. Anna has every right to say this. Anna turned to me and said, "Take me home, please." We started for the door, and Debbie, now realizing the gravity of the situation, tried to plead with Anna. She said, "Sweetie, this is a misunderstanding. You know I was protecting you." She reached out and grabbed Anna's arm. Big mistake. Anna told her to let her go as she pulled away. Debbie continued trying to plead with her. "Anna, this is just the stress of the wedding. Come sit and we can talk." Again, big mistake. Ignoring her, Anna raised her voice and said, "I said let go." This time she balled up a fist and swung on Debbie. I stood there taking it all in. It was a beautiful hook shot that connected on her cheek just under her eye. It wasn't a strong hit. Anna does hit like a girl after all, but it was solid. That's awesome. She told her to let go. If anybody deserves a punch, it is Debbie. And you all know it. The shock of it caught Debbie off guard. She stumbled backward 2 steps and popped down her butt in a sitting position. When she landed, she farted, which caused me to burst out laughing. God. You know that sound that you make when you huck a dog squeal toy at the wall? It was that sound, only a bit more prolonged and louder. Well, that's disgusting, but funny. Anna was yelling at a stunned Debbie while I was laughing at the point of crying. When I caught at what Anna was saying, I stopped laughing and picked up where she was at. Anna was saying, "You don't fucking get it. You're a miserable BIT who manipulated Dad into giving up his rights to me. I didn't grow up with a dad because of you. I effing hate you and hope you rot in hell." Awesome. Well, definitely Debbie's on the path to hell. Debbie was now crying and looking at the scene. Of course she's crying. I had to fight not to laugh. Debbie crying, sitting on her butt, legs apart, extending in front of her, now red, rosy circle forming on her cheek. Hopefully hopefully the mother now has to have some oral surgery or something. Anna grabbed my hand and said, "Please, let's go," and we headed for the door. Anna opened it and turned and looked at Debbie and said, "If you or your bitch sister show up at my wedding, the most glorious part of the day is going to be when the man I'm here to marry and his guys grab you and throw you out of the church on your ass in front of everyone." Oh, please let that happen. We left with that. On the ride home, Anna was silent, staring out the window. Let her have her peace. Remember, her whole world is turned upside down. She's getting back her dad, which is awesome, but now she has to really come to terms. She's been lied to all these years and had him all because her mother was just a selfish, vindictive a-hole. That's the most horrible part here. The dad didn't do anything. She cheated on him. He divorced her. She's vindictive and ruined it. And not just ruined it for the dad, ruined it for Anna. Pure evil. And her aunt covered it up too. She held my hand for the entire trip home. That evening, Debbie's sister Betty called Anna. Anna was having none of it. She was on a roll, and despite it being a couple hours since seeing Debbie, she kept the momentum going. She answered the phone and just went off on her. She said, "You got a lot of nerve calling me. You knew everything my mom was doing. I don't need you and want you in my life either. You can fuck off with your sister." Then she hung up the phone and blocked her. Awesome. Debbie reached out to me. Are you fucking kidding me? Her mom thinks that you said that, okay, you tolerate each other, but you knew Debbie didn't like you. She's reached out to you. Debbie reached out to me, but I told her Anna made it clear she's not part of her life. She was trying to plead with me when I hung up the phone and blocked her. The next time we met up with Carl, his wife and sons were there. Oh, that's awesome. The reunion. Well, reunion with Dad, but she gets to meet her brothers for the first time. She was ecstatic to meet her brothers. It was a bit weird for them, but the day turned out good. It's been a slow journey trying to get to know everyone. One evening, Anna told me she wanted Carl to give her away at the wedding. Wonderful. She also broached the subject to see if Carl would help with some of the wedding expenses, since Debbie had cut her off. No. Not cool, Anna. I really like you, Anna, but no. Carl, your dad has been through enough and paid a lot. I'm going to extreme benefit of the doubt here and say that no ill intent was meant. But no, he might think that you're trying to use him. You have to understand this. Be careful. I'm sure you guys can find ways to finance the wedding. I told her in no uncertain terms that she was not to speak a word of him paying for anything regarding the wedding. Thank you, bro. I heard too many stories where Dad is brought back into the picture for the sole purpose of him being in the ATM. Exactly. You probably heard him here. No way we were going to do this to him. If he offered, we would discuss it. Yeah. If he offers, then okay, fine. In fact, by you not asking, he probably will offer it. I make decent enough money, and the wedding that was planned was not over the top. It wasn't originally my plans to pay for it, but I could swing it. My parents have also chipped in some cash to help out. You don't need to have a huge, gigantic, expensive wedding. Those are ridiculous. Save that extra money for a good nest egg, for emergencies, because guess what, life, you're going to have emergencies. For a down payment for a condo or a house or something like that. Up to the wedding, Debbie tried so many times to reach out to Anna. Does Debbie want to get roundhouse kicked in the head next? The punch wasn't enough? The last time Debbie stopped by her place, I looked and saw it was Debbie and told Anna just to ignore her. Anna stormed to the door and started screaming at Debbie. The last thing she said before slamming the door in her face was, "I hope you get cancer and die the miserable, lonely, painful death you deserve." Woo! I don't blame Anna. And Debbie, I lost my daughter. Fuck you, Debbie. So it was a nice wedding. Good to hear. A smiling Carl gave Anna away. This has been an intense year, to say the least. Debbie sent us a wedding gift. Oh, shocker. Now you can send it back. Anna wrote on it, "A dress he refuses, return to sender." Awesome. I told you that line was important. Also, I hope a tumor is growing and you die soon. Don't get on Anna's bad side. Anna is seeing a counselor at my urging. I think that's a good idea. I've gone to a few sessions with her. Carl has too. Anna has a lot of hurt in her. I've encouraged her to forgive her mom and not live with the hatred towards her. She's not ready to do that yet. Hopefully in time, she will learn to forgive, not for Debbie, but for herself. Dude, just the way you backed off and let her cool off, like when you first told her about the dad and everything like that, and it was the right thing to do, this is another thing. She needs to go through the emotions here. And that means hating her mom's gut and imagining many ways of her mom leaving this world. So be it. In time, may take some time, but in time, she'll cool down. And yeah, don't forgive her mom for her mom's sake, but for her. Because I don't want Anna going around with hatred in her heart. Because you don't need that shit lashed out on you. And if that anger in her heart and lack of forgiveness towards her mom starts impacting your marriage, you be sure to lay down the law, my friend. I'm sure you will. You listening, Anna? Don't take this shit out on your good husband. And I hope the counseling helps. He says, there's a lot more to this story, but it's long enough, and this is the gist of what happened. Carl has thanked me numerous times for reaching out to him. I can say this, I've got free auto repairs for the unforeseeable future. I thought this might be a little bit of a refreshing end to an all too common scenario, and maybe it can serve as a glimmer of hope to someone in a similar situation. I'm keeping a watch on Anna. Her hatred toward her mom is off the charts and could become a red flag. Keep doing what you do, SSM. Wow, that was quite a story, my man. And man, it took balls to do what you did, because it could have ended with her not wanting anything to do with you. Seriously. But I'm glad you were persistent, reached out to him and all that, and that's so great. You got that bitch Debbie out of your life and out of her life, and you got the dad back in the picture. You made his life so much better, and made your wife's life so much better. Good for you. And I'm glad, good for you, Anna, for kicking Debbie out of your life and putting her in her place and knocking her on the couch. That's awesome, by the way. Next time you can kick her in the head if she comes back to your house. And take it one day at a time, guys. You guys got a good thing going. And Anna, just like I said, like he was talking about, we hope one day you can forgive your mom. Not for her. Keep her out of your life. Do not let your mother ever near you or your kids one day if you guys have kids. Absolutely not. She'll try to ruin that too. And one day at a time, and some counseling and reconnecting with your dad. You can't ever get back the time you lost, but you can certainly have an amazing future and all that. So really, this was a great story, and I'm really happy how it turned out, guys. So I thought this was a good one to start the year with, and justice was served on freaking evil Debbie there. But guys, like I said at the beginning, this shows you the type of crap that happens out there to poor guys. This guy did nothing. He was cheated on, rightfully divorced her. Tried to win him back, nope. And then she tried to do the one thing she knew to hurt him. And even worse, after they divorced, the whole accusations and all that type of thing. And he had to make the hard choice, either maybe lose all my kids or just one. And people will probably go back and forth in the comment section of what he could have done there, what he could have done there. But regardless, what happened. So this is a great story, my man. And I wish you and Anna all the best. And if there's any news in the future, like Debbie reaching out or anything like that, anything worthy, send an update. I'll definitely cover it down the road. But anyhow, man, good luck with your life with her. All that, remember everything you've learned. And one day you'll have kids and you'll be a great dad. She'll be a great mom. And Carl will be a great grandpa. So wish you all the best. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. I'm sure you like the video. Share with your friends and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.